Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Tony from the Redbeard Podcast. Welcome to this week's episode. Guys, we have some awesome stuff to talk about. First on the docket this week, Brie Larson is the new Captain Marvel, which we already knew, but some pictures actually surfaced so you can get a good look at what her costume or her clothes are going to be looking like as this character. So we'll be talking about what we think on that. Also, another cool, awesome, dark series on Netflix called End of the Effing World came out. Most of us have binged it. It's been named as the best dark comedy on Netflix out there right now, so we'll be talking about that a little bit. And our last segment, there is a new documentary coming out called Tom vs. Time. It's a 5-part series that is going to be on Facebook Watch. And we're going to be talking about what some of us think about that first episode, of what we're looking forward to see in that documentary. And our last segment is going to be a little conspiracy theory. So the Patriots are in the Super Bowl. Everybody knows that. They're going to be playing against the Eagles. But what do we think about the whole Deflategate? And possibly there's a theory out there that the refs are in on it, and that is why the Pats are winning and some bad calls are not being noticed. So with that being said, stick around.
Redbeard Podcast is brought to you by these cool dudes.
Yo, welcome back to a very NFL-centric episode of the Redbeard Podcast. This is your boy Cooley. Sitting with me at this round-ass table, I have Jim Rock.
Hi, how was the audience today?
I think they said okay. I have Tony Emerald III.
That's right, man. The third.
The third.
What's
because
up?
there's two more of you running around. Three, right? That means three. Because your dad's got to be the second.
He's junior. I'm the third. Yeah.
Oh, the second is a junior.
Yeah.
All right, so I thought it went junior, then the second, then the third, or whatever.
No, they're one and the same.
All right.
Yeah.
Word.
I'm here, though.
All right. So there's two
But
other
you're one
Tony
of a
Emeralds
kind.
out there, but this is the one that's here. It's the third one. And a very special guest, someone we haven't talked to in a while on the show. Introduce yourself, buddy.
Hello,
That is not...
my name is Frank. Hello. No, just kidding. It's me, Jay. How are you?
What's up? It's Jay Costa. Yeah. So good shit, man.
You
Good
had
shit.
me going there.
Everybody's like, why is he on the podcast?
I
He
thought it
can't
was
talk.
someone else.
Surprise! You're in the same room, bro. So as we mentioned before, Captain Marvel's going to be played by Brie Larson, and we got to see her costume, like what they designed for her. Yesterday, they actually dropped a couple of photos from the set. So what do you guys think?
I don't know. I was kind of curious. First, I thought it was going to be the DC Comics Captain Marvel,
Okay.
but it clearly isn't. I was hoping for Shazam. I had Shazam underwear growing up as a kid.
So you were hoping for a man.
That's not what I'm saying. Don't misconstrue what I said, Mr. Jim Rock.
I always found the idea of Captain Marvel really creepy because it's a boy that yells out Shazam and then just turns into this muscular, like some just weird roided out Tom Hanks from Big.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can see Shazam on a keyboard, giant keyboard floor.
Back to the real Brie Larson playing Captain Marvel. I don't like the costume. I don't like it. I understand sometimes you have to change the look of it, but it kind of has this weird cross between the X-Men 1998 movie look and the Green Lantern kind of appearance.
I mean, I think it does have the same kind of leather feel that the Deadpool costume has, which I think worked for Deadpool, but I don't know if this necessarily works for Captain Marvel.
Is it like a like a leathery look or similar to or with an armor almost because I haven't seen it yet. Is it similar to like what Daredevil's got going on? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what it looks
Oh,
like.
okay. Yeah, I don't back it.
No,
Yeah.
it has kind of like an 80s look to it to me. It just
Maybe they're trying to go for that retro.
maybe, I guess.
Okay, so I'm going to chime in and say that I am on the exact opposite end of the spectrum here. I love it.
Right on.
And I have reasons why, and they have reasons why they're doing what they're doing, and it's because they're actually doing, and you're right, it is a retro look. So they are going back to the 90s with this. This is a 90s movie.
1990s set Captain
Oh.
Marvel.
Right.
Okay.
So this
So
is when
now-
she
Deliberate.
This is when she actually gets her abilities and becomes Captain Marvel. So this is like her first like suit. So I'm sure like when we see her in Avengers 4, we're gonna get the updated costume. Probably gonna be the red and blue and gold one. Might be a little bit more form fitting or whatever. But like
That's
as
pretty
far
form-fitting.
as far as the costume that they chose to go with here, I like it for another reason entirely as well. And I always talk about when we talk about movies like Wonder Woman and the objectification of women in superhero films, this is the exact opposite of that.
It's very conservative.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, I completely
then
agree. Her
there's-
ass doesn't look that great. in
Yeah,
this
there's no,
suit.
they're not over sexualizing her. Like she is
You can
absolutely,
see,
Which is
you can
great.
tell.
Yeah, she is just gonna be a superhero. You know what I mean? And they're gonna rely on her abilities and her
Yeah.
acting and.
For the record, that's not why I didn't like it because it wasn't as revealing. I was just saying like just aesthetically I didn't like it. But I tell you what, you sold me on it because if it is this retro thing and if it takes place in the 90s, then it makes sense. I can wrap my brain around that. So
Especially if it's her first costume.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's every superhero has like their first costume and it gets better. Like when you watch the original well not the original, but the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man when like he goes into the
Oh,
cage
yeah.
fight, he's got like that awful like sweatpants
Right.
thing on.
He's just wearing like a ski
Yeah.
mask on.
and then he just
Right.
gets like a nasty costume after. So yeah, I mean
And she's a pilot. She's
Totally.
she's a pilot, and she's used to wearing like a flight suit.
I was just gonna say it looks like a flight suit.
You know
exactly. Yeah.
And nobody wears like
Does it?
spandex flight
Yeah.
suit.
is that why it looks so plain?
Oh, nice. I actually no. I think it's just it's got
Oh,
like
man.
those. It's got a very like jumpsuit kind of look to it.
Yeah.
You know what
One
I mean?
more
like
pun
a,
about
like
that
a
and I got a
pilot would
jet.
wear.
Right.
You know what
I'm
I
gonna
mean?
err on the side of
Like
caution.
a pilot or a race car driver or something like that. It almost looks like a motorcycle suit.
Yeah.
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 I
okay,
agree with you
so
on that.
agree.
Yes.
I mean, I think I'm excited to see what she's going to do with the character because I do like Brie Larson. I think she's a good actress. So to be able to see her take on, a female character is going to be great. A lot of superheroes that we have, with the exception of Wonder Woman, they've all been male superheroes.
Yeah.
So now that we have another female
That's
added
great.
to this, superhero pot is awesome. It's something for, little girls to look up to, which I think is really awesome too.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited. I mean, I've seen her in a couple things. What I've seen, I did like. So I'm really pumped to see what she does with this.
I mean, let's not forget Black Widow too, though.
Oh, and Black Widow,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, definitely.
Storm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they're things.
Yep.
Rogue.
Rogue.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But as far as like a headlining,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
definitely.
you're absolutely right about that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, like it's again this internet thing just like kind of making you skip past what's already here and like coming up in the next couple of months and making you look forward to 2019 is, it's I guess it's cool because we get to see some of this stuff, but it's also like, come on, man, like now I'm anticipating this.
You know, it's funny you said that because yesterday when I sent you I was like, hey, Brie Larson, and Ren was like, yeah, like we already know that, and I was like, yeah, but there were pictures released. It's like 10 years ago. You would just have to go see the movie
Yeah.
and find out what she looks like and not have time to really think about it. Now
Yeah.
we have time to rip it apart.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
So
like,
which
just
is
like-
better?
Like, because I remember when I went to go see the first Batman with Michael Keaton, I went into that and was like, what a cool
Blown
costume.
away.
I didn't have time to think about it because it was just like the movie just like grabbed me and like I just went for the ride.
Right.
Now I just have the costume to rip apart. But I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and the downside is that we don't get to see the costume like post production.
Yeah, they're
We're-
going to do some stuff to it.
Yeah, we're looking
Yeah.
at the costume like, just like it's like a Polaroid of
When
you know what I mean, like
well, when she walks around on that, it's like Brie Larson went trick or treating.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's what you know what I mean? So they're gonna do some stuff to it.
Are they gonna do something with her hair too? Because it looks like she just got out of fucking bed.
no, I think that's her hair, and it's the 90s.
It looks like she was flying a plane with the top off.
So I'm sure they will. They have stylists for that.
Yeah, I kind of like the mystery of not being able to see it ahead of time.
Yes.
I miss that era. I miss
Yes.
the time before the internet for a lot of different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
While I think it's great for a myriad of other reasons, I think there's other things that it just takes away from just that beauty and that enigmatic. I don't know, that feeling you got when you walked in. Like you said, you walked in blind to the Batman movie, and then you saw everything, and that was it. It was beautiful.
Commercial comes on, and it's like in 2 weeks,
And you're like,
oh shit,
yeah,
It's
exactly.
going down.
what?
I mean,
Batman?
You're like, this is good soup.
They're making
You can't even
they're
deal.
making a Batman movie.
sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I feel like getting to see little tidbits on the internet excites me even more for what's to come.
I get
Fair.
you.
Yeah.
That's a
You
fair
kind
point.
of get puzzle pieces that don't really give you the whole picture, but it gives you just enough to salivate for more.
That's
Well,
valid.
one
Absolutely.
movie that is actually going to pull off the retro promotion effect is going to be the Han Solo movie.
Oh yeah.
I have seen nothing, heard nothing, no trailers, no pictures, nada.
Maybe I think it's on purpose they're doing that.
I think
Probably better off.
I think that could be a bad thing, folks.
I don't know.
I am not thinking positively about that at all.
When
do we
is the
know,
re- when is
do
the
we know
release
who's playing
scheduled?
Han Solo?
May.
Is it Kevin Hart?
This May?
This May.
That would be great. I want to see Kevin Hart play
Wait,
Han
this-
Solo.
The Han
this
Solo
May
movie's coming
to
up
my
this May?
dismay.
So in 4 months, basically, it's coming
And
out.
we've
We haven't
seen
anything?
nothing.
Nothing.
Oh,
Okay.
I didn't know it was
Like
coming.
there's been chatter, but we haven't seen any. Like I think we've seen one set photo, of like everybody kind of like standing together, and it wasn't even like an in production set photo. It was literally just like a group shot. Like, hey, here's Childish Gambino as Lando, and
Really?
Yeah.
He's playing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
it's awesome.
That's great.
However,
Who is what?
Childish Gambino, I can't remember his real
Oh,
fucking
good.
name.
I like him.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna think of it later on.
Thanks, Finn.
You try to tell us. If only we had devices in front of us, electronic devices that could give us the answer.
Yeah.
Can I actually chime in and say something else that is just as scary to me?
Yeah, what's that?
So everybody knows, well, not everybody knows, I know because I'm sick with this stuff.
Predator?
The Predator comes out in 2018, and it's a new movie, which is actually directed by Shane Black, who played Hawkins in the original Predator. So he's the first guy to get killed in the original Predator movie. So, but the cast follows as this.
Oh,
It's
boy.
got Olivia Munn in it, okay? Which,
Amen.
okay, cool. And then there's Finn's in it.
Yep, Finn
Yvonne
loves Olivia Munn.
Strahovski, which not a lot of people know. Some little kid.
Some little kid.
Thomas Jane is going to be in it, which is
Really?
cool. I'm a big Thomas Jane fan. But then there's Edward James Olmos is in it. Keegan Michael Key is in it.
Wow.
And then we also have the black guy from This Is Us. I can't remember his name. He's won all the awards recently. But if you watch This Is Us, you know who he is. So anyway, but the thing that scares me about this is that there has been a script leaked online. I don't want to read it because I don't want to know going into this. But
Yeah.
there have been set photos where there are 2 predators and they are sitting on a tank. And I hope to God that the predators are not taking control of this tank. The only reason they should be on a tank is if they take somebody down that's on it or whatever. I just hope it's like a set photo where they're just chilling out because they're not shooting. But if that photo is real, I am really scared about this movie. So they haven't released many things either, and it comes out in September. So I'm scared as shit, dude. You know
Yeah,
what
I mean,
So-
in that cast, I mean, Sterling K. Brown is the dude. By the way.
Sterling K. Brown, thank you.
But that cast is
Weak.
yeah, it's like they were somebody at some point.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
and I'm sorry, like if for I don't know in what fucking planet they're gonna hear this, but if you're listening, I'm sorry. Like y'all had your time in the sun. Not one of you are. None of them are A-listers.
No.
You know what I mean? Like there's not an A-lister involved.
Yeah.
It sounds like the cast of Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which isn't a bad thing. But but it's not. But there's no star power. There's no draw.
Exactly, and that's the way it is with every Predator
No
movie
Jesse
that
the
I've
Body?
ever seen. It's like obviously the second one with
Yeah, no Jesse the Body.
No
Ventura.
Jesse the Body.
the second with Danny Glover was good because I mean it was had a better following after.
I'm surprised you didn't say Terry Crews was in it.
Terry Crews.
Like with the list that you were like, I expected
yeah,
like
Terry
Terry Crews
Crews,
to just
yeah.
be on the list.
But whatever, I just wanted to
Captain
throw that
Lou
out there.
Albano.
So what you're trying to say is we're all kind of excited to see what Brie Larson is going to look like as
Yeah,
Captain
yeah,
America.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, hopefully, Tony, Predator is going to end up being a good movie, and it won't be the end of the fucking world for you.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Supply and demand investing, where not all investments are created equal.
Yo, Tony, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, dude?
Yo, man, want to play a game of Would You Rather?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Word. Yo, so would you rather invest in eBay at a 0% dividend per year over the course of 3 years, or invest in Amazon at a 0% dividend per year over the course of 3 years?
Oh, dude, that's easy, man. I would go with Amazon because Amazon makes a killing. They sell everything, and I use Amazon like twice a week, and I know that they are killing it this month in the Christmas season.
All right, well, that's that. I think that's a sound decision. Find out if you made the right decision by checking supplyanddemandinvesting.com/redbeard.
Supply and demand investing is here to offer guidance when it comes to investing. Whether you want to invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or exchange-traded funds, supply and demand investing is here to help.
And unlike the buy and hold method of investing of the past, supply and demand investing is comparative to any good sports team. There are good times to play offense by investing your hard-earned money in things like the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, real estate, or international equity. And there are times to play defense by investing in fixed income, higher dividend-paying assets like bonds, CDs, or cash. So check out supplyanddemandinvesting.com/redbeard.
And we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Hey,
Yeah.
we're front.
So,
So,
how are you?
good, man. I watched a really good series on Netflix called End of the Effing World.
Did you?
I did.
Excellent.
Not all of it. I'm 6 episodes in.
6 episodes in is good enough because that means you've watched the 3rd episode, which
Oh.
was my absolute favorite
Yes.
episode.
That was awesome.
I binged the entire series
Did you watch it?
last night until 3 o'clock, 3:30 this morning. Got to bed at 4. It was great.
The best part is I told you about it at midnight.
Yep.
I said
I
you
was
were
like,
just
okay.
got something to do now. Awesome, man.
Yo, the end of the fucking world.
Yeah.
I stuttered on that because, like, in the title, it's not actually the fucking world. It's like the end of
The
the
effing
F.
world. Yeah,
The
effing
end of the
world.
fucking world.
Yeah,
But-
exactly.
But yeah, anyway, the end of the fucking world is such a good show. And
Dark.
we didn't get a chance to really get into it because, like, you guys hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to, like, spoil anything. But as you were watching it,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys were texting and stuff like that, it sounded like you've had the same journey that I did. Because like as I was watching it, episode 1 went by. I was like, that's interesting. I'll keep going. Episode 2 went by. I'm like, yeah, this is still pretty cool. I'll still watch it. Episode 3 came. I'm watching it, and I'm like, yeah, it's still interesting. The end of episode 3 happened, and I was like, I jumped out of my seat. I was like, holy shit, yes!
Yeah, it was good, man.
You know what I mean? Because like it was, and I'll let you talk about your experience with that. Just
Yeah, I mean, for me, I jumped on this because you were literally jumping down my throat about it. Like, you got to watch this, you got to watch this. So, like, after a certain amount of time, I caved, and I was like, okay, it's got to be, like, good if he's telling me this much about it or, you know, pushing me to watch it. But going into it, I didn't know what to expect. It started off very dark, very dry. It is everybody in the character is British, and it does remind me of a British type of humor, very dry. Also, just it's a very dark, and I stress the word dark comedy. If you go into this expecting to just laugh like you would in like a sitcom, that's not what this is. You have to just sit there and let it happen. Yeah. And for me, some people find it frustrating when they end up asking themselves more questions than getting answers. And this makes you question a lot of things, and you just have to find out and get the answers as they give them to you. What I felt when I was watching this was the characters kept me invested and kept me interested enough where I wanted to keep watching and see like where their stories went. Like, who are these people? Because they start you off in such a dark place. I want to know like how they became the way they are. You know, like what's their backstory. When I watched it, I could not stop thinking about this is Dexter as a little kid. You know, this is basically because Dexter like was hurting animals, and then he ended up wanting to kill somebody. And it was kind of like, I was like, all right, I'm just going to pretend this kid is like Dexter growing up.
I used to murder frogs when I was young.
Yeah, I know you told me about that.
Wow.
So that's anyway. So getting back to it, I mean, yeah, it's disturbing, a disturbing show, but a good show, a funny show.
what did you think, Jay?
So, for me personally, for my personal taste, it was very dark. And while I liked it, for a lot of different reasons, there were parts of me that felt, and I realize this is in the writing, and this is why it'll be successful, is there's a lot of parts in the series that make me very uncomfortable.
Thank you.
That I personally am not okay with, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, oof, that's just, but that's me, you know, and that's, and I guess the more I watched it, it really gave me the vibe that this literally could have been a 90s movie, very reminiscent and paying homage to maybe even like a combination of like a Natural Born Killers meets California meets True Romance, kind of all coalesced into
True Romance, definitely.
All coalesced into this dark British version, but with teenagers depicting the main characters, which is what really essentially made it uncomfortable for me, is because they were teenagers.
Yeah, because they've basically like thrown innocence out the window.
Yes, correct. And for me, like, that was what was like, oh my gosh, you know, this is really removing a lot of the veil, and this is destroying a lot of that innocence within all of these characters. But then, you know, as the series progresses and you start learning more about the character development and you learn their origins, you know, and the crescendo of the series was just, it left me, I wasn't shocked completely, but I was like, wow, okay. And that's all I'll say about, you know, the end of that. The last episode, rather.
Like, whatchamacallit, the kid, James.
They like James.
Yeah, guys, shut the fuck up.
That's a shout out for James.
The kid, James, basically, in the beginning of the show, like the first few episodes, he's like, like talking about how he's a psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I had mentioned this in the messages leading up to the show, a person who's psychopathic doesn't know that they're psychopathic.
Correct.
Yeah.
Not that we know of.
So he thinks he's a psychopath, right? But like as you're watching the show, like all it seems like in the first couple of episodes is like, oh, well, whoever wrote this like doesn't realize that psychopaths don't know that they're not psychopaths.
But they reference that in the writing in like the 3rd or 4th episode.
Yeah,
where
so
he mentions that specifically, which I think you're getting to.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was getting to, is that you find out just based on his reaction to when he kills the dude. Because when he kills the dude, he's just like, he's stunned and shocked and it's not the rush that he thought it was going to be.
Mm.
And he feels like mad guilty and he feels like bad about it. So like, it's just brilliant writing. Like it takes you on this journey with these characters who you think are like in the beginning, you think it's like, it's dirty. It feels dirty to like these characters because like you find them charming, but there's something wrong with them in such an evil way.
Yeah.
But then as you start to get into it and find out who these characters are, you realize that they're not evil. They're not bad. They're just broken.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's as the series progressed, that's what you started seeing is like this whole like the dichotomy of their upbringing and where they're from, and then who they are and what they are, if that makes any sense. Because I'm trying to be vague.
I think the most disturbing scene for me, without necessarily giving it away, those of us who have watched most of it will know what I'm talking about. But it's in the 3rd episode before the murder happens. But I mean, her reaction to what was going to happen was awesome acting.
Yeah.
And like for me, like you actually got to see the real character, like the real girl that she is, come out in that 5 seconds, because she always puts on like a facade of who she is. It's like the wall she puts up. But as soon as what was about to happen was maybe going to become a reality, you got to see who she really was. And I thought that was awesomely done. And like that made me so uncomfortable that like after I watched that, I was like, oh my God, that was about to be painful.
So
like, you know what I mean?
Would you say this is worth a watch?
Yes.
For someone who had no intention of checking it out. I watched the trailer weeks ago and instantly was like, not for me.
It's weird, man, because as I watched this last night, I was trying to think about what your reaction would be to watching this, since I know you so well. And I don't know if you would like it. I don't know, but I feel like there's some things you might actually enjoy, but there's a part of me that just feels like you would just be like, I didn't really care for it.
Are these half-hour episodes?
They're 20 minutes apiece.
Oh, they're 20 minutes.
It's like 20 minutes in there. There's 8 of them.
Okay, I can at least make it to the 3rd episode.
Yeah, you have to at least get past the 3rd to give it a.
And the soundtrack is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, very poppy.
Do they talk very Britty? Like
they have British accents. They're hardcore British.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. She's like, your skating was quite shit. You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's very.
If this were a film, we'd be Americans.
Yeah, right. So.
Yeah, I thought, like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because y'all are, like, actually, stage actors. I mean, but I felt like they put on a fucking clinic. The kids. I don't know about anybody else in the movie, but, like, the kids, I thought, put on a fucking clinic in acting. Like, I thought they were fucking amazing.
Well, there's an article about this that they put out, and they're saying that it is the best dark comedy on Netflix, and it's owed to the 2 main actors, which are James and Alyssa.
Are
They
there
say
a
that
lot of
because
dark
of them
comedies
alone,
on
this
Netflix?
this is the reason why
I'm aware
it's as good as it is. Yeah.
You ever eat a pussy before?
Oh my God! Right? Yeah, seriously.
I have.
He says, yeah.
Okay, see you at 11.
Yeah, I want you to eat mine.
And I love how we can hear
Tomorrow.
the internal dialogue as well. Like they play a lot of the internal dialogue, so you can hear where their thoughts are, and then you hear their actual reaction.
Yeah.
So it's
that was done well, because that can be tricky writing.
and really it does kind of bring you back to being a teenager, where you're constantly trying to either impress when you're courting and you don't even realize it, and it turns you into this person that you're not most of the time, and then you come to the realization of who you are. And even then, it's still just one layer of who you think you are. It was really great writing.
Yeah.
But, again.
I got to finish it, man. I got to finish it. That's all I got to say about that.
Good shit, man. So, End of the Fucking World. Check it out. And remember, you heard it here first.
Did they?
Word.
No, probably not. But You heard it here anyway. At some point.
It's awesome.
At some point, you've heard it here.
You heard it here.
So we'll be back, guys.
Said this the other day.
And here we go. From the minds of Patriots fans everywhere, we are about to talk about what they believe is the greatest of all time. Tom motherfucking Brady. Let's hear it, folks. Let's hear it.
You say that as if you don't agree with it.
Oh man.
So
Yeah, I might be a little bit on the other side of the fence.
He has had quite a career.
can I just say one thing before we start this off? Because I know we're going to get into it. I do want to mention something that is media related that's coming out. Is a documentary about Tom Brady and his home life and his nutrition and all his training and all that stuff. It's called Tom versus Time. It's specifically on Facebook Watch. And yesterday, there's 5 episodes. They're each like 15 minutes a piece. And the first one came out yesterday. So, I mean, if you want to know a little bit more about the man when he's off the field, it might not be a bad thing to check out. So
This is for people that want to watch Tom Brady actually eat and to listen to Giselle Bundchen's broken English.
Yeah, I'm gonna
And they
wait
basically-
until it's all released so
And
I can
just
just
binge
binge
it.
it. Yeah, I just
Well,
want to binge it.
it's
Just
more
binge
about
and then purge.
Yeah. Yeah, purge literally. Just fucking binge it and then just fucking throw up.
And then purges and just have one night where you can go out and find all the Pats people and murder them. Go to jail.
But from what I've heard, there's segments to it where he's going to go into his nutrition because a lot of people have questions about that because he's apparently very strict with that. And then he's also going to talk about how he trains on off season and what his training is like. I mean, like I said, if you guys want to check it out, they're 15-minute episodes, and I think they're going to be coming out every couple of days. So go for it.
I'll
Facebook
definitely watch it.
I'm going to check it out. I'm interested.
I'm definitely a Patriots fan. I'm not going to deny it. I eat up everything Patriots, so I will end up watching it. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. But it's also fun to watch this stuff with a grain of salt. I mean, I am just kind of being a voyeur and looking into the life of this man outside of football, which is what you don't normally get to see in regards to Tom Brady.
And I think the reason why we're doing this segment is because, obviously the Pats are going to the Super Bowl to face off against the Eagles.
Obviously.
I'm saying obvious because everybody already knows, not because I expected them to win.
Everybody already knew. Everybody expected them to win.
All right, let me finish. Chill out, bro. Hold
Sorry.
up, buddy. Hold
you
on.
wanted me to talk.
Yeah.
You wanted me to talk. I
mean-
wasn't going to talk. You told me you need to be in on this. So
Hold
I'm
on a
here.
second. I haven't opened the cage to the door. I haven't opened the cage
Oh,
yet.
you opened the keys to the door, buddy. You
Pandora's
opened it.
box.
He's chomping
Get back
at
in
the
the
bit.
cage. Hold on. So basically what we're doing is this is it's more of a conspiracy segment. I want to set this up. So there are a lot of conspiracies about the Pats, right? One was the whole Deflategate thing. It's not necessarily that, but there is a theory that has been going around that the refs are in on this.
Collusion?
And this is why the Pats are making it to the Super Bowl again, and they do so well. So I just want to, with that being said, I want to get into that. So with that being said, Cooley, the cage is open.
Are you sure you want to do that?
Oh, I want to do it. The cage has been open. What
You
do
just
you
put me
think
back in the
about-
cage. You took me out the cage, then you put me back in the cage.
Just
Now you
for-
want to take me out of the cage again.
Hey, calm down. I needed to shut you up for a second so I can finish my thought. All right, so this is the thing. I want you to talk about that because we've talked about that for a little bit, about the refs, and you're very passionate about that specifically. So can you explain that, why you think that's a thing?
I don't think it's a thing. It's a thing.
Okay.
It is a thing. And it's not just the Patriots, mind you.
Okay.
It's whatever storyline the NFL wants to drive forward. I believe the referees have a certain level of influence over the course of a game, and they will exercise that influence where they see fit to make the game go in the direction that they want it to go in. Period.
But
So-
do you have examples?
I have one specific game that's not Patriot centric because I don't watch the Patriots.
Okay.
But like back in December 2016, this was a game that I think drew a lot of attention to the way that the referees ref a game. And I did air quotes there just in case you didn't hear it in my voice.
Okay.
But the officiating in said game, it was the Eagles game in December, Eagles-Giants. There were several problems with that game. One, you had the most penalized defense in the league going up into this game. And that was the Philadelphia Eagles that year. The most penalized defense going up against one of the least penalized defenses going into that game.
Is that the New York Giants?
That was the New York Giants. Because that was the year that we actually had that defense that was just like
Oh, lights out.
fucking stellar, lights out, which I don't know what happened because like the same defense came out in 2017 and stunk it up, but you know, that's totally on Ben McAdoo. I give no respect to that dude.
I agree with that.
But in 2016 they were great. And so here's what happens. You have at least 3 plays that I can remember. One in particular was when Sterling Shepard he's running an out route. Manning drops back, throws the ball. Before it gets to him, you have Nolan Carroll draped over his back, not looking at the ball, just draped over this kid's back, holding his arms down so he can't catch the ball, and there's no pass interference call. None. And it was blatant. I'm talking like there was at least 30 seconds of this dude hanging on his back. Like, if you go back and you watch a video of this shit, you will say, yo, that's pass interference. Where's the flag? No flag. And this was a critical play. We're talking about in the last minute and like 28 seconds of the game, this is going on. But aside from that, there were at least 2 penalties that affected the game where we had, it was like a third and long on the Eagles. The Eagles were third and long. Where, you know, lining up at the ball, they hike. Boys get off on the snap, and there was a sack. But as he's going down, he throws the ball. The cornerback, Eli Apple, rookie, comes in, stops, and you can see him stop himself. He goes down to the ground, and they touch. But because they touch, there's a flag, roughing the passer, which is complete bullshit. It's what it is that the refs will look at games, they'll see what's going on, and there are certain plays where there's like a ticky-tacky, like, man, we can call this or we can not call this. And if they have any reason to call a play, right, and it affects the game in the way that they want it to go, they'll call it. And if not, they won't.
Okay.
And that was just one example. I've seen many examples, especially just watching Giants games, because that's really all I watch is the Giants games. But just watching Giants games, I've seen many examples where we've gotten fucked. I've seen examples where we've gotten the calls like our way, and I've still fucking looked at that and been like, what?
So I can see where you're coming from. A lot of this stuff does seem like clear as day, you explaining it. But I think where it comes in is like, I don't understand how the refs can necessarily be on it. I mean, it's a possibility. It is a possibility. Nobody's going to be able to know for sure unless it was proved, right? That's a theory. But I think the frustration with a lot of people comes in is when you have a team such as the Patriots who.
Hold on 1 sec though. 1 sec before you say that.
Yep.
Because I forgot to mention in my little thing there about that particular game, the spread on that game and the way that Vegas was calling that game was in favor of the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have behooved anybody who was betting on that game to bet on the Eagles. So that's where I think the biggest thing comes in is you have storyline, which is going to drive viewership, and then you also have the people that are spending money in Vegas on these games, and they want the outcome to go their way.
Okay, I see that. But when you have a team currently, such as the Patriots, who do well, and I'm not saying that some of the game moments are ridiculous. Like, dude, watching this last AFC game, I thought we were going to lose the game. Like, I honestly thought we were going to lose the game. I just didn't want to say it, right? And then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, they end up turning it around, as the Patriots somehow often are able to do, and win the game. And I think from watching that game, all of the calls that were made seem to be reasonable and make sense. Gronkowski had a concussion. It was taken out of the game, as he should have been. They followed concussion protocol. Amendola made some fair touchdown catches. I don't understand how they can seem to fairly win a game and then all of a sudden the refs are in on it. That's where my confusion comes in. If there was a call against the Pats that seemed unfair, I would be willing to look at it and see it as everybody else sees it, fairly. But when they say the refs are in on it, and I don't really have a lot of things to back that up specifically on the Pats because they're doing well, I guess that's where I get a little. That's where I'm kind of like, well, come on, is that like legit, or is that somebody being like a sore loser?
I'm not necessarily going to speak to the Patriots game. Cooley, I completely think that that you're kind of in the right in some of this. I think a lot of this is entertainment, and I'm not going to go into specifics into specific games. So take what I have to say with a grain of salt. But I think that storyline drives a lot of this. I think it's very surprising how close some of these games end up in the end, how so many games can end with a touchdown, and for some weird reason, a pass interference call always seems to be called to get that losing team to like the 10-yard line with 15 seconds left to go. It always seems like they're trying to keep it close for that chance to make it a bigger watch than it actually is. I also say, if you really want to go so far as there's some, that there's something to it, look at this past playoff. I love the Patriots, so I'm very happy that the Patriots have got in here. But would you say that the two largest markets somehow found a way to get back into the Super Bowl in this off season?
I'd say that's part of my disgust, is that there's supposed to be parity in the league, which is why we have a salary cap, right?
Mm.
That is fucking nonsense. We have a salary cap for no fucking reason, because you have empires now. You have these huge markets, right?
Mm.
But
that includes New York,
right? Yeah, New York is included in that, but here's the other side of it. Refs can only do so much.
Mm.
The team that they're trying to help needs to capitalize on the shit that they're doing.
Mm.
And the Giants had no fucking chance of capitalizing on
But let's
shit.
not forget, though. Can I just interject real
Sure.
quick? Let's not forget. They have spikes on the bottom of their shoes.
I mean, let's be honest here. When you're watching a game, any one of us, like any football fan, can watch it and say to themselves, there can be a penalty called on every single play.
Yeah, I mean, but see, here's my thing though. It's like you got, and like I said, I mean, you and I are both fans of the Patriots,
Sure.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, people can say we're biased, but I mean, I think what drives me crazy is, yeah, there are a lot of Patriots fans out there that are just like, they're just dicks about it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, the Patriots are the best, and like, fuck everybody else. And like, that's the wrong attitude to have. I mean, it's great if you're a fan of the team, but you don't have to be like a jerk about it to people that are not Patriots fans.
Right
and,
on.
and that's fine. Like, kind of, just be happy that your team's in the Super Bowl and root for them when they play. But I just find it hard to believe that there are people out there that just like, they try to find, like, the Eagles, man. We're saying that, like, there were all these bullshit calls, like, after the game that, like referencing, like, what are you guys talking about?
The Eagles or the Jaguars?
I'm sorry, the Jaguars.
That's okay.
Thank you. The Jaguars were saying that there was all these calls and, like, the game wasn't fair and all this stuff. It's like, really, man? Because when we were playing, I felt like they were pretty ruthless, like, throwing people to the ground after, passes have been completed.
Well, I think to some degree there's always a measure of sour grapes too. You did just lose a big game. The Jaguars just lost their chance to go to the Super Bowl within minutes of winning.
Totally, man.
Minutes of being able to go to the biggest game of their lives, and they lose it. And then directly after they lose, the news crews go into the locker room and go, "How do you feel about that?" Well, of course your adrenaline spiking,
And you're gonna be so
you're
upset.
pissed
But
off.
this was a couple days after.
Yeah, I mean, you want to believe that no one's a sore loser, especially with the money that they're receiving, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard not to be. Everybody wants to win,
Mm-hmm.
and when you don't, you have so much faith in yourself and in your teammates that you don't want to believe that the best team may have won. And sometimes that's not always the case. I'm not saying that in the Pats-Jaguars game that's the reason that the Jags lost or the Pats won. I'm saying that in some cases, I think the referees do have a bigger handle on the game.
Oh, yeah.
Of course they do. They're refereeing the game. But to say that it's, but just to say that when it comes up, it's always just seems to be that, oh, they favor the Pats, and I kind of, I just hearing that just kind of.
Well, let's go deep.
It's annoying.
Let's go deeper down the hole, though. Like, I'm me. Like, I'm very, very transparent. Like, I was into sports more when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So like objectively looking at this. And how most conspiracies, I guess kind of branch out is because when you talk about collusion, you talk about literally a millions upon millions of dollar industry where there's money to be made. And if there's a greater goal in mind, that there's certain kind of funding going on where it can change the course of a game based on how someone else, either their team performs and how much money they can make, or maybe even there's bets going on. I mean, we know there's some unscrupulous activity that goes on. There's plenty of power out there. There's cabals out there that control those things. That's part of the fun of thinking about the conspiracy of things. So, I mean, to think that collusion isn't possible with some of those refs, I think we can all agree that some of these refs from time to time probably have just had their pockets lined to make calls a certain way. I think that,
yeah, I mean, I agree that's a possibility. I'll just say this, man. If it ever came out or was proved in some way that any team had won in the NFL because of, let's take the Pats, for example, because we're talking about them. Let's say, like, it came out that, like, the games were called a certain way because a certain ref or certain refs, like, had their pockets lined, and that's why they were winning these Super Bowls. I would lose so much respect for the NFL, and the trophies that the Patriots have would be, like, bullshit to me. You know what I mean? Because it's like they didn't earn it. They didn't earn it. I mean, yeah, maybe they played hard, but if they but I mean, once those trophies are actually, once those trophies are kind of the what am I trying to say? Like the wind is just taken out of the sails.
Yeah,
they lose their value completely.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you go to Oz, right, and you see the guy pulling on the levers. And then just all that illusion, right? It's what's behind the veil, right? So there's a lot to it. I mean, do you want to know the truth, or will it bum you out?
That's a good point, man. It's actually a really good point.
I think this is something that's never going to end. I think there's always going to be this conspiracy when it comes to the Patriots, as long as they're good. I think there's always going to be some form of conspiracy surrounding how is one team capable of having so much success in an era where it is built for them not to.
True, and I do want to say something, and I agree with Cooley on this because he's brought this point up over the past couple days. We've been talking about this. There are a lot of people out there who say that Tom Brady is like the best quarterback ever, and if you look at his statistics, he technically is. But I do get a little annoyed where people say it's all Brady because it's not.
He has
It's
a great
not.
team.
I mean, like he has a great team to play with, but you can't say that Tom Brady is the reason.
Yeah.
He has a big part to do because he is the quarterback of the Patriots, right? But without the other players, it would not be the same. Like he's with the perfect players, the perfect team at the perfect time. It's like a timing thing, right? And I hate when they put him on a pedestal and say like that's the reason why the Pats are what they are. It's a big part of it,
Right.
But I
But
mean
it's
it's
not
not,
all of it.
all Tom Brady.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick is like 70% of the equation. Like,
Yeah.
If he was not there, if he was not the coach, if he wasn't making the adjustments that he has to make at halftime, if he wasn't leading that team and putting Tom Brady in positions where he could win, and half the time, let's be real. Like I mean, like a lot of the games are won on the leg of the kicker.
Yeah.
Just
true.
saying.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely.
If it wasn't for Belichick, I don't think you have the GOAT.
Right.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I think it starts with Belichick. I think Belichick was the roots that grew, that had Brady grow into this tree of otherworldly. I'm kind of mincing my words, but yeah, he's the foundation of all of it. But I would also like to say that you need to have an effective tool to utilize what the coach is saying.
True.
And also, how about the offensive line? As somebody who has no offensive line, I can speak to the value of the motherfucking offensive line and keeping your quarterback upright and able to throw the ball and make the decisions that he makes on the field. I mean, you got Eli Manning running for his fucking life as soon as the ball is snapped. Like, he can't even plant his feet to get the ball off. Half the time he's throwing shuttle passes to a fucking running back.
No, I agree with you. That may not necessarily have been the case earlier in the season. Earlier in this season, Tom Brady was getting knocked down just as much as anybody. We had a horrible offensive line, but we tightened it up. I mean, a lot of times Bill Belichick and the coaches underneath him find a way to fix their problems or at least mask it over the course of the season. But I agree with you in respect to the Giants. God, he has no time to throw the ball.
And I will say this, I mean, in Cooley's defense, I mean, you can't deny this. The past 2 times or the multiple times we've gone up against the Giants in big games and Super Bowl games, we lost, right? And that's the Giants having a hand over the Patriots.
Oh, yeah, that was excellent defenses and perfect scheming.
It's not like the Patriots are fucking unstoppable. They do lose. I mean, one of the biggest losses ever was when we had a perfect season and lost to the Giants. So, I mean, that was probably one of the biggest upsets. And that's where I question things like, are the refs really in on it?
Well, yeah, because here's the thing. Those games came down to execution.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Like, if Welker, was it Welker or was it Edelman?
That didn't make the catch on
in
third and
2012,
short. Yeah, that was Welker.
Yeah, if Welker had made the catch,
they would have won.
That was a fucking gaffe on his part. But yeah, like our wins, I'm not saying that they were luck. I'm saying that
I'm not saying that either.
I'm saying that luck would have it.
Luck had a part of it. I mean, the
That
David Tyree catch is...
Every game in the NFL has some element of luck to it. There's no question. But our particular wins in these instances, as luck would have it, it came down to the Patriots failing on their drives.
Yep,
Right.
agreed.
Like in the game that we beat them in their undefeated season, there were a couple of questionable, like, 4th down, let's go for it like Bill Belichick calls. Like, why are you going for it on fourth down? There's no need.
No, I agree.
You know, like kick the ball, put us in poor field position, and don't give us an opportunity. You know what I mean? Like count on your defense.
In that Super Bowl, I mean, most of the Patriots fans that I've discussed this with love to go David Tyree. It's all because of David Tyree. But let's face it, the Giants won 17-14 in a year where the Patriots put up 40+ points a game. The defense was outstanding in that Super Bowl.
I mean, I think if anything, you know, I would love to see another Super Bowl Patriots Giants. I mean, and I know you would as well. Definitely.
That'd be
You know what I
intense.
mean? I mean, that would be pretty epic just because of all the conversations that you and I have had. You know what I mean? And I've heard the conversations that you've had with people at work that are hardcore Patriots fans that are a little more brutal than I think necessary when they have their conversations.
I would be scared to hell.
Yeah, I mean,
Another Giants
but
pass.
with reason, because it was like when we were watching the last game. What do they say? He was the Patriots' kryptonite. He know who I'm talking about? Because you said he's been he had something to do with the Giant. I forgot who it was. They showed him in the stands, in like one of the boxes. I forgot.
It's killing me. I'm drawing a blank right now. Cooley, help me out. Who is the Giants coach?
During the Super Bowl wins?
Yeah,
or?
now he's the Jaguars
Oh,
executive.
Tom Coughlin.
Tom Coughlin.
Thank you. Yeah, they said yeah, and there's Tom Coughlin up there in the luxury box. They're like he is the Patriots' kryptonite, and it was like to hear that was actually pretty funny. You know what I mean? That he was there, and he's, you know, it's just interesting, man. It really is. But I don't know. We're the refs conspiracy theory that they are in on it. It's always going to be a conspiracy theory unless there's some hardcore proof that this goes down. You know, it's never going to be solved.
That's part of the fun.
Yeah, that's why it's a theory,
You know,
man,
and that's
you
why
know?
people are constantly going to talk about it, and it can just keep going and going, and it's just this giant web.
Regardless of who you're a fan of, I love sports because sports you can always have a conversation about it. No one's
Definitely.
ever truly right.
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 Sports ball.
Definitely. Well, with that being said, I mean, I think, that's all I got to say about that theory. Do you guys have anything else to add? Go for it, man. I know you have something to add. I want you to add it. Jay, go for it, man.
I'm just going to add, I love the fact that their names are on the back of their shirts. I think it's remarkable because when someone's running and they've got a helmet on, you don't know who that is, right? But because they have the name on the back of their shirt,
I mean,
you know who it
usually
is.
You can tell their ethnicity by the color of their neck.
I can't.
Their neck. It's just their neck. You can't see their arms or anything.
And sometimes they got sleeves on.
Yeah, you know.
Sometimes it's cold.
I will say that there was it was pretty funny that they did this, but there was that recent game. It was a Patriots game. I didn't see it, but I had heard it was a Patriots. I think they were playing the Steelers, and in the end, there was a touchdown that got reversed,
Yes.
and there was a commercial during the Patriots game the next week, or the week or 2 weeks later, and it was a referee that shows up. The guy thinks it's the pizza guy. He opens the door. It's a referee, and he's got these giant cards, and he's going through the cards.
Oh, like
And-
Love Actually?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, you know, the first card's like, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Like the guy that opens the door is a Steelers fan, and like the guy's like, you know, one of the cards says, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. You know, moves to the next card. In my eyes, that was a touchdown. Next card. You guys should have won that game. Next card. And it was
That's pretty funny.
it was funny, but it was also like, yo, no shit. Like if you have to come out with a commercial that's apologizing for a fucking call that you made, like there's some shit to that. There's some shit to that.
I don't know. I mean, I
didn't
feel
see
like
the
this
play,
is a
so I
discussion
can't-
for a whole nother time.
No, we're gonna have it now.
I feel like the rules as they are stated right now, that wasn't a touchdown, but But the rules for a touchdown just get so convoluted and muddy that I can understand why people get pissed off. And that's not the first time this season. Multiple times, more than twice, a few times this season, touchdowns or in big plays have been called back that have helped the Patriots win games. Which all adds to why people think the refs are in the pockets of the Patriots.
Right.
So it doesn't look good for them.
What can be said about the Kraft family?
But that specific play against the Steelers, the way the rules at least are announced, I can understand why it was overturned. But I also kind of feel like it just as easily could have stood.
Or how about the like a couple of years ago, there was a game where Odell Beckham makes a catch in the end zone. He's toes the line. He gets 1 foot down, 2 feet down.
I know the play you're talking about.
Has the ball in his hand, and then Malcolm Butler slaps the ball out of his hand, but they don't call it a touchdown.
Dang.
Like we get the touchdown, but then they call it back.
Ooh.
Like, what the fuck was that? Like, I'm looking at that, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, we win that game if Malcolm Butler... I mean, if Malcolm Butler doesn't slap the ball out of his hand, but if they call it a touchdown like it fucking was.
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays when it comes to catches and touchdowns, especially with replay, nothing is clear cut anymore. Everyone's trying to make this guideline of this is exactly what's going to happen. But every time someone catches the ball and makes a move, it looks different, and it's all subjective. And I feel like 95% of the time, when it comes to stuff like this, that they end up going to replay to decide whether or not it was a catch or not, or it was a touchdown or not. It's all just kind of, how the refs are feeling at that time.
Fair enough.
It could be
Fair
called.
enough,
It could be
definitely.
called either way. I think that the rules are pretty muddy, and and then it's hard to kind of gauge exactly what's what.
I think the NFL needs a new commissioner. I think they need to clarify the rules, and they need to make it easier for fans to follow so that there's not as much of this fucking ambiguity where we're looking at it and we're like, what the fuck just happened?
And I
Why-
think that's
Why is that not a catch? Why is that a catch? Like, fucking clarify that shit. Give us some ground rules that we can follow so that when we're looking at it, we don't think that the refs are in somebody's pocket.
and I think getting a new
Very
commissioner
valid point.
is something that everyone's in agreement with. Pats and non-Pats fans want to see Roger Goodell out of there.
I can't stand the dude. And it what sucks the most is that it just feels like they make the rules up as they go. That's a catch. That's not a catch. That's a fumble. That's not a fumble. Ground can cause a fumble. Ground can't cause a fumble. You need to make a football move. Yeah, you don't need to make a football move in the end zone, though. But what the fuck? What? Come on. Can you please give me some goddamn rules that are clear?
I agree. That's
And
why
don't-
I say it's
yeah.
it's very muddy.
Yeah.
No, it can be anything.
Are eggs high in cholesterol? Are they good for you? I don't know.
That's all I got for today. Yeah, I'm done now.
Okay, man. Get back in the cage.
No, I thought that was really good. That was a great roundtable, literally.
Hell yeah. I mean, I think it's always fun, man, to kind of like actually have like a legit discussion about it.
Heck yeah.
You know what I mean? Without like like the other day at work, it was just like a bunch of people jumping down your throat, and I'm like, all right, like this is a legit conversation.
Yeah,
which
they're
is
like,
good.
oh, you're just hating to be hating. I'm like,
Like,
yep,
no.
yep, I'm just hating to be hating. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Well, if anyone knows you and they truly know you, that's not
Oh,
you.
yeah.
That's not your
Exactly.
character. You know?
Exactly.
You have logic
So,
and reason.
but hey, you know, on another note, you know, Super Bowl's in 2 weeks, so I guess we'll see what happens. You know, should be a good game regardless. Fun game.
Noodle or rice?
Both.
I'll watch
Yeah,
the
can't decide.
commercials.
I'm
Those
gonna
are
be.
arguably the best part.
I am going to be making buffalo chicken dip.
Hell yeah, that stuff's good. That's good stuff.
It is good.
What are you gonna
Yep.
be drinking?
Probably Jack.
All right, nice. Sick.
So here's
don't know
another
him.
here's another thing. So why is it that when teams have the upper hand on the Patriots, they decide that they want to change their game plan? So in the Super Bowl specifically, so like you have the Seattle Seahawks against the Patriots, and you have like one of the best running backs in the league, one of the most powerful running backs in the league. You're on the 1 yard line and you decide you want to try and throw it. Or you're running the ball down the Patriots' throat for the entire game, a la the fucking Atlanta Falcons last time, and they decide, second half, we're just going to try throwing.
To switch it up and keep them guessing?
Yeah, whether or not you want to hear this or not, I think this is where Bill Belichick has gotten into people's heads, and they just overthink things, and they think to themselves, or possibly they think to themselves, Belichick has already thought of this. He already has an idea for stopping this, so I got to do what he's not thinking. I'm going to do the complete opposite. I'm going to do something crazy that I wouldn't even do, and just kind of like I'm trying to outsmart myself, because that's what Bill Belichick would do. I think that's what sometimes some people get in their heads, and they end up beating themselves.
Believe it or not, I am a fan of Bill Belichick, and I will not dog Bill Belichick at all. I am not a fan of Tom Brady. I do not think that Tom Brady is the GOAT. I think his stats do speak for that, but at the same time, it's because of Bill Belichick. Like, I give him all the credit. I give him, because you can plug any quarterback into your system except for Jacoby Brissett, and you're getting similar production. So far, that's what it's been. And I know you can say, oh, it's a small sample size. But for somebody to come in, and you're talking about, like, he's coming in for Tom Brady, which means this motherfucker did not even expect to ever play a fucking down of football while he was on the New England Patriots.
But can't you admit that every athlete has an individual talent? I mean, like, he throws the ball differently than anybody else. Everybody's unique.
Yeah, everybody's unique, but that doesn't
to speak for itself, though. I mean, he's an amazing athlete.
Sure, but that doesn't mean that he's the GOAT.
People give him that name. I mean, but
I think the team might be the GOAT. Might be the greatest team of all time.
Right. I don't know.
It's subjective, I think.
Yeah, I think it's always going to be subjective. But I think a lot of it has to do with Bill Belichick. But then I also have to say, in Brady's corner, the fact that he's been doing it for such a long time, I think his drive has a big part to always be the best. I think he's willing to consistently listen to Bill Belichick. But the fact that he's capable of doing this, being a part of a team and being a team player for so long, I think some of the sacrifices he has made to now earn the name the GOAT is a part of it.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's just like anything, when you're really attached to anything, whether it's, any belief system or art, it's you like what you like. And then so you're impassioned, and so therefore there's that subjectivity that comes behind it, like you said.
Well, yeah.
Dogs agree with you.
Dogs. Where my dogs at?
We got some Eagles fans back there.
Yeah, definitely.
We got the underdogs.
Well, I agree. I mean, I agree with it's a good convo all around. But I think that pretty much does it for this week on the Redbeard podcast. What do you guys think?
Cool. Sure. Done.
Sure.
Go Pats.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week. Jay, I just want to take a second to thank you for coming on.
Oh, hey,
bro.
my pleasure. I love hanging out with y'all.
Yeah, man.
It's a good time. It's great.
We're going to have you on more, dude, and talk, some conspiracies at some point.
Yes, absolutely. So stay tuned.
Definitely. All right, guys. Later.
Goodbye forever.
Peace.
See you next time.